You're watching the 2022 ASUI Presidential Open Forum. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you in part by Idaho Public Television, students of JAMM 404, Student Media, and ASUI. Tonight's presidential candidates are Tanner McLean, Katie Henniga, with Vice Presidential candidate Olivia Neemy. Here's ASUI's Director of Internal Services, John Webb.
Good evening, I'm John Webb, the ASUI Director of Internal Services. Thanks for joining us for the ASUI Presidential Open Forum. We'd like to first thank the Idaho Public Television studios, Sav, Alalia, Shay, Daniel, and Brock, who are working behind the scenes to make this broadcast happen. We'd also like to thank our panelists for joining us tonight. To my left, we have Sierra Pesnell, the news director for KUI FM. And to my right, we have Royce McCandless, the ASUI beat reporter for the Argonaut. This semester, we have a president and vice president seat open with 2 tickets running for the title. From the left, we have Tanner McLean running for president. His vice president ticket, Madison Fitzgerald, is currently out of town for the Model UN trip. And to the right, we have Olivia Neemy running for vice president with presidential candidate Katie Henniga. Tonight, each candidate will have up to 3 minutes to respond to each question. Opponents can challenge a candidate's response and will be allowed 1 minute to do so. Tanner will have an extra 30 seconds to answer since his running mate is absent. And first off, I'm going to give you 3 minutes to talk more about yourself and the campaign you're running on. And Tanner, we'll begin with you.
What's up, Vandals? My name's Tanner McLean, running for ASUI president. First of all, I'd like to say that Madison wishes she could be here right now, but she, of course, at mock UN for this week. I decided to run for ASUI president because I love this university and I have a lot of great ideas that I think I can bring to ASUI and the university. I'm running on a platform of student services, Vandal Pride, and representation. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Olivia Neemy. I'm a second year here, and I'm currently studying psychology, and I'm running for vice president. And I'll give it to Katie.
Thank you. And my name is Katie Henniga. I'm a third-year student here studying political science and agricultural economics, and I'm running for ASUI president alongside Olivia Neemy. We're incredibly excited to be running. Both of us have had incredible experiences in ASUI. Olivia is currently the director of sustainability. In my past, I've been the director of legislative affairs for ASUI, and I'm currently serving as the ASUI vice president. We decided to run so that we can move our entire university community forward together. We want to make sure that our university is committing to progress and doing so in a way that does not leave anyone out, does not leave anybody behind. We're running on Empower, Enhance, and Advance, and we are very excited to share some more of our action items and ideas with all of you in this open forum.
Olivia, starting with you, why specifically do you want to be a part of the executive branch at ASUI?
Choosing to be on the executive branch on ASUI and running for that position really stems from wanting to be a part of the change that's possible here at the University of Idaho. I believe that it's important to leave something better than you found it, so making sure that I can build it up and turn the university into something better than when I came here as a freshman. So it's just really important to me that I can leave a standing impact in a positive way here at the University of Idaho.
As I said, I am currently serving as the ASUI vice president, and in this role, I've had the incredible opportunity to work alongside one of the most inspiring people I know, and that's President Callan Mai. I've really seen a lot of incredible change that can happen from one student that is passionate about serving her community and serving the people around her and making sure that she is uplifting every voice and uplifting the voice of every student that she meets, and that's something that I really want to carry forward into the next year. I really have loved being able to build relationships between ASUI and different offices across campus, including several of our equity and diversity units, the strategic enrollment planning and strategic enrollment management part of our university, and also working with some of the university administrators that I've worked with directly, like the Associate Dean of Students, Carrie Feely. All of these relationships I really want to carry forward and continue to build off of that foundation so that I can really give students the opportunity to share what they want to see done on this campus, share the things that they want to see change, and also ensure that every student has just as many opportunities as I've had to get involved, improve their leadership, improve who they are as people, and really graduate this university prepared to go out into the world and continue to make differences after they get their degrees here.
So I had the opportunity last year to serve in ASUI Senate, and during this time, I loved it. Met a lot of amazing people, got to get outside of my comfort zone, connect with new friends across campus, and the reason why I want to go to the administration branch of ASUI is to really better my community and to further expand my my group and to further make new friends in ASUI. And really, I just have a lot of great ideas I think I can bring to this campus. In my platform, I talk about student services. There's a lot of things I want to change there, transportation. And Vandal Pride, I think it's time to make campus lively again after these past 2 years of COVID. And representation, I really want to represent my university. I care about the University of Idaho. I love the University of Idaho and my fellow peers. And I believe that representing the University of Idaho and the state capitol as in the role of president is something that I can do my best ability. Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
Katie, why do you think your relationship with Idaho legislature is important, and do you think ASUI currently has a strong connection with the legislature?
Yeah, that is a really great question, and definitely something that Olivia and I would want to focus on if we are elected, continuing to foster that relationship with our state legislature. The first part of your question, I think that our relationship with the legislature is incredibly important because ASUI does represent the interests of undergraduate students, not only to the state legislature, but also to the State Board of Education. Crafting this relationship is incredibly important because our university is not just funded with student dollars, we are also funded with tax dollars that come from the state. Every year, the legislature from the Joint Finance and Appropriations Committee passes a budget to go on to the State Board of Education to allocate funds for each of our four-year universities and community colleges in the state of Idaho. So funding is a major piece of what we need to run a university. That's something that we've seen attacked, especially in the 2021 legislative session. So we really need to advocate for what students need and share the incredibly valuable programming that happens both inside and outside of the classrooms so that we can continue to get those general fund dollars that help to fund our offices, fund all of the amazing things that we're doing at the university. But another piece of that is that the legislature also has exercised their capacity to control some of the things that the university offers through funding, but also through other pieces of legislation. I think it's very important that we highlight some of the important work that we're doing in regards to diversity, equity, and inclusion. This was something that was under specific scrutiny during last legislative session, and we need to be advocating for programs that are successful at our university, programs that have amazing retention rates, bring diverse students to our university, and make University of Idaho graduates more attractive to potential employers after their graduation. All of those different facets make our relationship with the legislature incredibly important. I think right now, ASUI, we have definitely used our voice to represent students with the legislature, and I think that's the most important thing that we can do. In the future, we want to improve our relationship with the legislature by bringing back in-person legislative ambassadors trips, hopefully partnering with the president's office so that we can get students to meet legislators face-to-face, hopefully get off Zoom, because as much as students don't like Zoom, legislators dislike it even more, and make sure that we are doing everything that we can to craft a strong relationship, especially with students that are specific constituents of different legislators from their districts. So as we move forward, we definitely need to craft that relationship so we can advocate for what is best for students, what's best for our university, and also ensure that we are doing that in a way that is attractive to legislators, meeting them where they're at instead of just expecting all of the contact to come from our state officials.
Yeah, so one of my campaign points is representation. And it's my intention to represent the Vandal family as a whole if elected. And one of the things I really want to do in the state legislature side of ASUI is to unite all the colleges across the state of Idaho into the Idaho Student Association. I know this is something that Lauren Carlson and Joe Garrett really fought for and pushed for when they were in ASUI, and that's something I really want to bring back. I really want to strengthen this association. I want to reach out to ISU and Boise State and really strengthen our role in the state capitol. I believe that having the strong association in the state capitol will really give us a bigger voice in lobbying in the state legislature and fighting for higher education issues. Another thing I think ASUI should really do better on is reaching out to interest groups that promote higher education and education in general. I know one interest group, Take Back Idaho, is really strong on this, and they really care for higher education in the state of Idaho, and that I'd be willing to reach out and make allies across the state and to fight for the University of Idaho and the state capitol. Thank you.
Katie touched on a lot of great points already, but I would say another big thing that I would want to change and make better with our relationship with the legislation is to try to bridge the gap between the students and the legislation, trying to make sure the students are aware of what's going on from different bills and resolutions being passed and like what could be changing and affecting us as students here at the University of Idaho. So making sure that we're representing them and their ideas, but also making sure that they feel like they know what's going on and they have a voice here and they can come to speak to the ASUI representatives and know that we're trying to make the voice for them, and we're representing them when we go and we make different bills and things like that and resolutions on the floor. So trying to make sure that students know that we're representing their interests, along with trying to educate the students on what is going on, because without students' awareness of what's happening at the state level, there's a lot of things that can go unseen and a lot of things that are affecting students that they're not even aware of. So really trying to be that bridge between the state and the individual here at the University of Idaho is a key thing that I would believe we would be implementing if elected.
Tanner, as you know, every 14 hours someone is a victim of sexual assault in the state of Idaho. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. What are some projects that you plan to work on to bring more awareness to our campus?
Projects in general, or projects to this month?
For sexual assault awareness, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a great question. I believe one of the purposes of ASUI is to really focus on these events on campus and these. I haven't really thought of something specifically for the Sexual Assault Awareness Month, but I know one of the things that is in my platform, in my campaigning for, is really to bring the student body together in events. And something, if elected, I'd really try to do and try to look into if elected, is to have a big event revolved around this month that will bring everyone together for this issue. And I can't answer anything specifically on this right now that I know of, but I know that it's something that me and Madison will try to work on to have an event revolved around. That's yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a very great question and something that is definitely on the minds of a lot of our students here at the university. I think that we really need to bring attention to this issue, especially because 18 to 24-year-old women are very highly impacted by sexual assault. And obviously anybody can be a victim of sexual assault, but we really need to focus in on those groups that are disproportionately affected by these issues. I'd just like to highlight that April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and a lot of the programming around this month is put on, I believe, by violence prevention programs from the Dean of Students office. There's an event on International Denim Day. There's a tabling fair every year that Emily McLarnon from the Violence Prevention Programs Office puts on every year. And this is something that ASUI has participated in the past, and definitely something that we will continue to participate in the future. I believe our current Director of Safety, Health, and Wellness is working on this right now. And that's another place where we should be crafting a relationship and making sure that we are providing awareness and education of the different resources that are available on campus for victims of sexual assault, and also people who want to take a stand and participate in things like the Green Dot Bystander training programs so that they can help to be a part of the solution to the issue as well. I think that a lot of us have been to Green Dot Bystander prevention programs, and these are incredibly important programs, but I think it's also important to highlight other options and other trainings and that kind of thing provided by our campus. I know that there's a program called Mobilizing Men run out of the Women's Center, I believe, and this is something that ASUI has done it in our body in the past, has had some conversations around what toxic masculinity looks like and how the patriarchy affects each of us individually. And I think it's important to have these conversations on a wider spread level of our campus. And I think it's also important to highlight these issues specifically in September during Katie Benoit Campus Safety Awareness Month. This is something that ASUI wrote a resolution to officially recognize this month during fall semester. And we definitely want to, again, participate in the programming and making sure that every student feels empowered to come to these events, feels empowered to go through the trainings, and also do so in a way that is safe for their mental and physical health, so that we can truly try to hold each other accountable and create a student-led culture of safety and prevention, and make sure that we're just doing what we can to treat each other well as Vandals.
Yeah, Katie did an amazing job speaking on a lot of things that we would want to do and implement if elected. And it really just goes into trying to educate the student body and to bring awareness and advocacy forward, because change can't happen unless people are aware of it and pushed to make those hard decisions and make those thought processes that they maybe didn't think of beforehand. So really trying to push these conversations to the forefront and make it a conversation that isn't taboo or have other ideas that may not be seen as something else that we should be talking about. So it's important to really try to bring facts and education to the student body, and to make sure that people are aware of this month, because it is really important to make sure that everyone is learning and making sure that people are aware of what's happening. So really, I would say it's important to have the advocacy and education around the entire month of April.
Olivia, what do you feel the role of the executives in ASUI should be? Should they play a more active role in voicing opinion for legislation, or do you think that their role should be more detached and administrative when it comes to the legislation that comes out of the Senate?
I think a little bit of everything. It's really important as a representative to be able to represent the student body in multiple different ways across campus. As someone that would be elected on, if that's what happens, it's important to make sure that we are representing the students with the legislation with the state, because that is one of our main jobs here, is to make sure that we are that bridge between the two. So being the voice and making sure we're hearing what the students want and need and bringing that forward, but also representing them in within the university with admin and things like that. So I think it's a really good balance between the two that we need to be accomplishing to make sure we're really fully doing our job, because there's a lot of different ins and outs that goes into representing the student body and representing the University of Idaho. So making sure we're hitting all of those and we're balancing between it, because it's important that we really are able to do all of the roles that is asked of us. So making sure that we're hitting everything and making sure we're spreading it out, so that way we can represent everyone in all angles across campus.
Could I clarify, Royce? Are you referring to legislation that comes through the ASUI Senate or legislation at the state level?
I'm talking about legislation coming out of the ASUI Senate.
Great, thank you. Thank you for that clarification. I think that it is our job as ASUI executives at the administrative level to be educated on every issue that's coming through the ASUI Senate. As vice president this year, that's been my job, to preside over meetings and make sure that I'm knowledgeable about the issues that we're discussing. And I think it's incredibly important that both roles, both the president and the vice president, are educated so that we can serve in that supervisory capacity that is required of us when we're overseeing both the Senate and the cabinet sides of our body. But I think it's difficult to break down and generalize if we should be more vocal or detached on all legislation coming through the Senate. I think a lot of the time it's incredibly powerful for new leaders in ASUI, especially our junior senators, to be the ones that are leading a conversation and having those difficult conversations around new topics. But at the same time, I think it's very important that we can step in and share our views, because again, the ASUI president and vice president are still students. We still need to be represented on the Senate floor and with everything that ASUI is doing. But I think it is a delicate balance. I know that as vice president, I have made sure to not enter into debate in every meeting on every issue that I care about, because I don't want to overstep my boundaries in my job as president of the Senate when we're in our Senate meetings. But again, I think there is a balance where if there's an issue, if there's a voice that's not represented that we hear, I think it is our job as ASUI executives to step in and make sure that everybody feels represented in our university community. So, difficult answer to a tough question, but I would say it is an issue by issue decision on whether or not we should be more vocal or more detached. But all in all, we always need to be the most educated on issues so that we can serve in that advisory capacity that's required of us as executives.
Yeah, if elected, I plan to support the ASUI Senate, and I don't plan or have any intentions on quelling any type of legislation. I'm not running as a conservative. I'm not running as a liberal. I'm running as a vandal and all. And I believe that I should support all the senators in their aspects of bringing forth legislation to the floor and really, inspiring them to voice their opinions, to be not afraid of their opinions, and to give them the opportunity for the Senate to vote on the outcome of that. Yeah. Thank you.
Katie, why do you believe relationship with UI administration is important? And if so, what are ways ASUI can bridge a gap between faculty and students?
I really appreciate that question. I think that it's important to have a relationship with our administrators, because as much as we do represent the student voice, the students can't get it done alone. We can't make change in our campus without communicating with administration and seeing policy changes. That's something that we really need to craft those relationships and make sure that we are bringing student priorities to the forefront of our administrators' minds. I know that the president generally has monthly meetings with the president of the university and weekly meetings with the dean of students. These are times for us to communicate what students want to work on and communicate what students' needs are on a month-to-month, week-to-week, day-to-day basis. It's incredibly important that we craft that relationship so that our priorities can align with our administrators, but also so that if there are any issues that are contentious between students and administrators, we can make sure to have that strong foundation of a relationship and we don't fracture any of the connection between our student governance and our university administration. That relationship is, in short, very, very important so that we can effectively cause change on this campus when it needs to be seen. And for building a relationship with our faculty, the Faculty Senate is a very powerful body on this campus. It's very powerful in choosing what curriculum is brought onto our campus, choosing what our academic policies look like, looking at each of the actual university administration levels that would impact faculty and staff. Our Faculty Senate has a voice and a hand in all of those separate issues. So I think to build a relationship with the Faculty Senate, we need to really be leading the charge to meet the newly elected Faculty Senate chair, vice chair, and secretary when they are elected, I think, at the end of the semester over the summer, and really be able to develop a personal relationship with those people and say we are all here to represent different parts of our university community and make sure that even if, again, our priorities do not align, we can have that conversational foundation where we can communicate our priorities to each other, see where we can collaborate, see where we can have some maybe contentious discussion that could lead to new ideas, new compromises as well. So something that Callan Mai and I have done this year is we have a monthly meeting with the leadership from the Faculty Senate leadership, the Graduate and Professional Student Association, and the Staff Council. Hopefully we can get the Student Bar Association included on that as well to make sure we're representing all students across campus. But we would want to continue these monthly meetings, continue to give project updates and share what each of our individual bodies is working on, and find new ways for us to collaborate. Some things we've collaborated with the Faculty Senate on include parental leave policy. I know that there have been parental leave policies at least introduced in the Faculty Senate, and we passed a resolution last semester in favor of these policies to really advocate for what our faculty and staff need. So we should find ways to collaborate and find new times to have conversations to see where our priorities can align.
Before campaigning begun, I went out and spoke with a lot of our faculty and mentioned how I was planning on running for ASUI Senate and wanted to hear from them some of the changes they want to see here on campus. Some of the good conversations I had was with Director of Park and Transportation, Rebecca Couch. I had a conversation with her, sat down about the whole parking issue here on campus, and really tried to break down what's causing this issue and some solutions to that. Another great conversation I had was with some faculty over at Career Services. They said the number one issue over there is just trying to get students into career services, and the ASUI really needs to figure out a way to get more students involved within this. So that's one of the things I think we can really bridge the gap is just being active and going out, not being afraid to talk with the faculty and having a good connection, and also learning where to compromise on some issues and just brainstorming ways to solve and ways to make our campus a better place. Yeah, thank you.
The relationship we have with staff and faculty is so important because at the end of the day, we're all here to represent and help students, and that is our one and only goal from us as student leaders, faculty, and staff on campus. So it's important that we all work together for that same goal. So working to figure out how we need to change things, work together in areas that some people may need to give a little more than others, and figuring out how to make that happen. This also goes with trying to get students with faculty and staff when making decisions and making sure that everyone feels represented in those moments. I have been working on President Green's Sustainability Center working group for the last few months, and it has been so extremely helpful to be able to sit down with different staff and faculty across campus and getting to hear how they hope to implement sustainability, especially recycling across campus, and along with getting to share my ideas, because getting to advocate for recycling is something that does a lot, but it's not something I can do alone. And by myself, I cannot bring that forward. So it's all about the community and making sure we all use our roles to make big change happen. So it's important to use the staff and the faculty and the admin, because without everyone working together, big change is impossible, but together we can do it.
Tanner, if you're not elected, what is one way you'll stay actively involved to help better the lives of students?
Yeah. So I'm a member of a lot of organizations and clubs on campus, and if not elected, I really want to stay involved with these groups. I really want to One club I'm involved with right now is the Pre-Law Society. I'm currently the treasurer of that. And if not elected, I really want to go for president of this society to really grow it on campus, because I know there's a lot of students here at the University of Idaho that are trying to go into law, and I really want to help grow that program. Another thing I'm involved with right now is I'm the scholarship chair of Beta Theta Pi, and I really want to make sure Beta Theta Pi has stays on campus and maintains its role on campus. I just love getting involved in as many ways as possible. I also really want to get involved with the outdoor program. I'm a big outdoors guy. I love mountain biking, skiing, and I really want to get involved with ways to help the recreation here on campus as well. And also potentially maybe going back to ASUI if I can, maybe running for a Senate spot next year, or seeing other ways just to stay involved in my community. And yeah, thank you.
If not elected, I'm currently involved in a lot of different organizations and clubs, and I would really dive into more of those. Right now, I am the student specialist on Vandal Entertainment, so I'm the one who plans and organizes all the different events, concerts, and things like that on campus. So I'd probably dive into that a lot more to make sure that we're bringing the things we want to see on campus, the different entertainment opportunities. I am also a member of the Gamma Phi Beta sorority, so I would get more involved within there and maybe go after more positions within the house. I am also currently the treasurer of the women's lacrosse team here at the University of Idaho. So I would dive more into my positions that are available in the lacrosse area. And I'm also a ambassador for the College of Letters, Arts, and Social Sciences. And I would probably get a lot more involved in that, doing things to help students get involved that are coming in, along with ones that may be trying to transfer throughout colleges. If not elected, I probably would also look at other ASUI opportunities that are available. I have absolutely loved my time in ASUI, and I would not want to give that up if not elected.
Yeah, absolutely agree. If I'm not elected, I would definitely take my senior year and make sure that I do everything I can in those 2 semesters to give back to the community that has given so many opportunities and so many involvement opportunities to me and to myself. So I would really make sure that I am embracing as many of those different opportunities that come my way. In the past, I've been involved in the agricultural economics and rural sociology department as a peer leader. I would look at some of those opportunities, see what I could do to improve different research opportunities for the political science department as well. This semester, I've been a McClure legislative scholar, and that's been an excellent opportunity for me to be able to write an entire research paper and present that to the legislature. I would want to look at some of those different opportunities to still stay engaged with the state legislature and still stay engaged with advocating for higher education and just what Idaho citizens need so I can prepare for my career, whatever that may be after I graduate. I would also love to find other ways to really continue to give back, not just in the university level, but also local Moscow volunteering opportunities. Something that I've looked into before is volunteering for the call center at the Alternatives for Violence on the Palouse. I think this is a really amazing opportunity for people to give back to, again, violence prevention programs and looking at some of those different ways that we can help impact people that aren't just University of Idaho students, but are also part of the Great Moscow community that houses our university very graciously. And I would also love to continue my involvement in ASUI, whether that looks like applying for a cabinet position, maybe back to my roots in Director of Legislative Affairs, or just being active and coming to Senate meetings, continuing to author resolutions and bills, because any student on our campus can author legislation for ASUI. I would look at all of those different opportunities and really just see what my community needs and what the students around me need as I go through my senior year.
Olivia, how would you work to ensure both senators and students holding minority positions on controversial topics are given a space to fully express themselves?
When we're talking about things that have to do around diversity and inclusion and access, it's so important that we get the information from the source. I am a cis white woman, and I know that I have a lot of privilege when it comes to a lot of different topics and issues here on campus. So making sure that I'm reaching out to the different clubs and individuals who have that firsthand experience is vital to get the information and the education to make the decisions that affect so many students. To me, this means bringing in those clubs to talk during open forum at Senate meetings, or even before getting to the Senate meeting, making sure we're going out and having those meetings and understanding the perspectives of the students that it directly affects to make sure that we are representing them in the best way possible. I'm not here to put words in the mouth of minorities. I'm here to represent and uplift those voices. So making sure that we put those forward, and I'm just backing that up along with everyone else in ASUI. It's our job to uplift and put the people first, and not to put the ideas of ourselves out and onto the floor. So making sure that I'm fully educated when it comes to the different things that I'm making decisions on, and making sure that the voices of the people who have experienced it firsthand are available and they're at the different meetings. So that way everyone making decisions has the same access to the individuals that I would look into.
Yeah, I think this is a very important question because since we do represent student interests to the state legislature, and the legislature often discusses very controversial topics that students have a wide range of opinions on, a lot of those things trickle down into ASUI, and specifically when we're discussing legislation on the Senate floor. Something that I would do to really foster a sense of community and conversation rather than argument and debate is make sure that we approach every issue from an educational standpoint instead of an argumentative one. I am a very opinionated person. I think everyone in this room knows that. So I think it's important to lead with that and address that we do have very strong opinions, but also address that we're here to learn from each other and learn from other perspectives. Some of the most valuable experiences here at the university that I've had personally is talking to people that have different opinions that I do, that were raised from different backgrounds, have different worldviews, different perspectives, identities, experiences, and really make sure that I'm challenging myself to put myself in other people's shoes and see their side of the issue instead of just thinking primarily about myself. This is something I've grown tremendously on, I think, in the last year. As the ASUI vice president this last year, I've also introduced conversations about difficult topics. Notably, one was about House Bill 675, which would make it a felony to offer gender-affirming treatment to transgender minors under the age of 18. I wrote a resolution opposing House Bill 675, and this led to, I would say, some really fruitful conversations. I would hope some of the senators that I talked to would agree with me. Just having some of those conversations about issues that we have not tackled before in our lives. I think that's one of the most amazing growth experiences that we can have in ASUI. And I think that the reason they are amazing growth experiences is that we come at it in a way that is respectful of each other, in a way that we are not attacking each other. Instead, we are looking at ideas and presenting our different perspectives and opinions on those ideas instead of coming at it as a way from different political parties, different political ideologies. It's incredibly important that, again, we share the fact that we are student leadership, we share the fact that we are one ASUI governing body, and we're here to represent the interests of all students. And that means that those students that have minority opinions on controversial issues feel represented both in our body and also feel able to come to the podium in our open forums during Senate meetings and feel like they are respected, feel like their presence is valued, and feel like ASUI really truly does have a place for everybody regardless of their opinion and life experience. As president, I would want to foster that by, again, framing conversations educationally instead of argumentatively, and maybe pushing down some of my own opinions in cases where I want to make sure everybody feels comfortable.
Yeah, if elected, it's my intention to nominate a very intellectually diverse cabinet. I don't believe that ASUI should be a polarized place. I believe ASUI should welcome all opinions and all voices. And I really want to lead ASUI in a direction that all voices are heard, all opinions are heard, and that there should be no polarization of issues, truly. I believe that no matter what your opinion are, you should still be heard in ASUI because you are a representative of the student government. And yeah, that's how I think I would really bring more intellectual diversity to ASUI, is by bringing a place where more diverse cabinet members of different backgrounds, and just leading Senate in the right direction to have senators not be afraid to speak their opinions. Thank you.
Katie, this past week, international oriented clubs hosted a fundraising week to bring awareness and raise money for relief to Ukrainian people. Why is it important for ASUI to provide advocacy to people outside of the state?
Yeah, so ASUI's role is to represent the interests of enrolled students here. But I think our job and our scope goes wider than that, because we should also be bringing students' attention to issues that are affecting us on the local, state, national, and even international way. It's incredibly important for us to have conversations and be leading the charge in creating civically engaged students when they graduate from this institution. I've said 1,000 times, I think a lot of the learning that we experience here at the university happens outside of the classroom. And that comes from our incredibly strong system of student clubs and organizations that bring attention to different issues and have different events on campus for us to be able to learn from a diverse array of different perspectives and different worldviews. That's a big part of having educational conversations, and also just a big part of us being engaged citizens and preparing to continue to be engaged citizens after we graduate here. Looking at this specific instance of providing primarily financial relief to people in Ukraine and different organizations that are serving the people of Ukraine right now, that's one way that students can get involved at the civic engagement level outside of the ballot box. Voting is not accessible to everybody in our country, nor everybody in this university. It's incredibly important that we frame some of these different ways that we can get involved. I think a lot of the time when we talk civic engagement, we talk just about educating on the midterms, educating on local elections, but when not everybody can vote, that's leaving out a big proportion of our students that come from a diverse array of different backgrounds, and seeing how they can get involved civically at a lot of different levels. So ASUI should be leading the charge on even things that are happening outside of the state, outside of our country, because we want to prepare students to continue to be involved in their communities and in the global community after they leave our institution.
Yeah, one of the roles of ASUI is to really support political activism. And if elected, I really want to encourage senators to not be afraid to, write resolutions on issues concerning outside the state of Idaho that are political, such as the Ukraine topic. I believe that ASUI should have a voice in writing resolutions for those in Ukraine, and also any kind of issues outside the state of Idaho, because that is a very important role of ASUI, is in political activism. Thank you.
Yeah, getting involved with different clubs like Amnesty Club on campus is a vital way for us to not only support our students and make sure that what they view as important along with us is at the forefront. So it's also so important that along with the clubs that are making this charge that we're working with, we're just helping students learn what is happening across our state, our nation, and across the world. It's important that we stay active in our learning. Like Katie keeps saying, it's so important to learn outside of the classroom, and this is something that is a very big topic at every level, and so it's something that I think it's important that students are learning about and getting involved in, because it does affect us in multiple ways. Even if it seems like it's far away in Ukraine, it's still affecting us here in the United States and at the University of Idaho. So making sure that we're being civically engaged and we're learning the different ways to do that, especially as students. You may feel like we don't have as many options to be able to give and to support, but there's still so many ways to do that. So trying to provide that for students and showing the ways that even as an individual who is going through college, there's a lot of different ways to be socially and civically engaged. So bringing those opportunities to the forefront is so important. It's also just a great way to learn, like I was mentioning earlier. So just making that a main focus to be involved outside of Moscow is a great way to gain those different educational abilities.
Tanner, how do you respond to opposing viewpoints, and do you feel the way you respond is a strength or weakness of yours?
That's a really good question. I believe in finding a common ground, truly. I truly am a big believer in compromise, and in my time in ASUI, I worked with people who had opposing viewpoints as me, and I believed in reaching legislation that both sides could agree on. But at the end of the day, there are some things I'm willing to go to the mat for. There are some issues where if it's something I truly believe in, I will go to the mat and fight for that. But truly, ASUI should not be a politically divisive place. I truly believe that we're all students here at the University of Idaho, and we should all find some type of common ground to come together with. Yeah, thank you.
For me, I believe that when there's ideas that are different, it's important to understand why someone would have a different viewpoint. It is their truth, and so they have reasons behind that, along with whatever my truth is. So it's important to sit down, have those open conversations, have those open discussions, and understand where someone else is coming from, because there is something there that the other person believes in, and there's things that I would personally believe in over the topics. So making sure that we're able to have those conversations, because learning only happens when your ideas and your thought processes are challenged. So trying to understand what my own beliefs are in those moments, and maybe realizing if I'm in the wrong or I can change my views along with the other person. So I believe it's important to have those open conversations, because there's a lot that can be learned personally along with professionally in those moments. So being able to dive into it and not be afraid of the hard conversations is the best way to do that, and make sure that at the end of the day we're representing the students, because it doesn't matter what I believe, it matters what the students want and are hoping to see. And so it's important to have those hard conversations to make that happen.
I believe that there's not a single individual on this campus that I could not learn something from. I think that when we hear different viewpoints, especially on controversial issues, especially on a lot of the things that we do discuss in ASUI, the first reaction of a lot of people could be to shut down and enter into an argumentative or responsive state, instead of being willing to ask questions about the other person's viewpoint and then frame their argument or their viewpoint in an educational way, again, rather than one that seems like it's a personal attack on the person that we're having a conversation with. I think that responding to opposing viewpoints is all about having conversations instead of just making sure that we're being heard and making sure that we are sharing whatever our opinion is and being the loudest in the room. I think that an important part of these conversations is not necessarily coming to a compromise, not necessarily coming to an agreement, but making sure that we leave the conversation both feeling respected, both feeling like we have at least looked at our own viewpoints from a different angle and at least challenged ourselves to really think about what the issue is that we're talking about, and think about if we need to do further research, if we need to evolve what those beliefs are. So when I approach somebody that has an opposing viewpoint, my purpose in doing that is truly to learn from them and to challenge myself to see if I have any room to grow in the opinions that I hold. I'm not too big to say that I have changed some of my own beliefs and changed some of my own opinions since coming to the University of Idaho, and I know that this is an educational process that I will continue to be on for the rest of my life. And I really think that is a strength, especially in ASUI, especially as a student leader on a campus that has a lot of diversity in opinion and background and identity. It's incredibly important that we, above all, are approachable and willing to have conversations with any student, regardless of what they might think about the different initiatives we're working on or the different issues that we're discussing.
Olivia, my question is, what will your guiding philosophy be as a leader with ASUI?
Oh gosh, my guiding philosophy. I would say, I guess it's kind of in our slogan, moving forward. It's important to work for that progress, for the change that's coming. We are here to help transition students into the next stage of their life. So it's so important to be able to represent them in that and know that we're here to help students along in their life journey. So I would say my biggest philosophy is trying to figure out how to move the university forward, how to move individuals forward, and how to move the Vandal community forward. That is one of the biggest things that I believe we will be doing here as leaders, and making sure that we are bringing what's next to the forefront. So making sure that we're just representing everyone in that growth that is happening at every level, personally, academically, and professionally.
I would say that my leadership journey started in high school when I joined the National FFA organization. I had a lot of incredible opportunities that came to me from my membership in FFA, a lot of great travel opportunities, competition, but most importantly, leadership and things that I learned from other inspirational people in that community. One thing that's really stuck with me since I was chapter president, or when I was the Idaho FFA Association state treasurer during my freshman year of college, the FFA motto is learning to do, doing to learn, earning to live, living to serve. And I think that last line of the motto has just really stuck with me throughout my years in FFA and beyond, because living to serve is really what leadership is. I'm not seeking a leadership title so that I can have a title, have this fancy gold name tag that I'm wearing on my blazer right now. I'm doing it so that I can improve the community around me and make sure that I am hearing every student's concerns and doing what I can to resolve some of those concerns. I'm not seeking a leadership role as ASUI president in a self-serving way. I'm doing it to serve my community and give back to all of the incredible students and community members that are around me. So I think that's going to be my guiding philosophy if I'm elected, or just as I continue on in my life, living to serve and really making sure that I'm doing what I can to improve the lives of everybody around me.
Yeah, I think my biggest philosophy, if elected, and really my biggest philosophy while I was an ASUI senator, was listening to student concerns and placing student concerns first in my legislation and things I hope to accomplish. During this past few weeks running for this campaign, I've heard a lot of great ideas from a lot of students, a lot of things students I want to see happen on campus. And I believe that ASUI should really direct more focus towards what students want to see. The two big things in that is, first one, public transportation. The second one, having big events on campus. These last 2 years with COVID, campus has not been too lively. And one of the things I really want to do on campus is make campus lively again. I want to have all these big events, and I think that these are the things that students want to see, and just listening to students and doing the things that students want to see on campus will be my biggest philosophy.
All right, Katie, we'll have you start us off with closing statements.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, watching this open forum, and being involved with the election so far. Again, Olivia and I are incredibly excited to be running for ASUI president and vice president because we want to move our entire community forward together. I'd love to just touch on some of our action items and some of the things that we are committed to doing if we are elected into office. We want to empower Vandal voices by uplifting every student and making sure that every student knows that they can approach ASUI with any concerns that they might have about their university experience or anything happening at the state level that affects students. We want to do this by, again, crafting relationships with the legislature, bringing back in-person legislative ambassador trips, and also reforming the Idaho Student Association, which I've had a major role in the last couple of years. We want to enhance the university experience by looking at what we're doing at a baseline level and moving past that. One part of that is sustainability. We're working on getting recycling back on campus for the fall semester, but that's the bare minimum. We want to look at what we can do to make sure we're being sustainable in our actions in transportation, and also just making sure that the university is here to stick around for students in the future. We want to work on a relationship with parking and transportation services to see if we can get a university investment in covered and locked bike storage, and also looking at potential things like tuition credits for bringing a bike to campus or walking instead of driving a car. And then finally, our last campaign pillar is advance, and that's all about looking at our university right now and taking it into the future. We want to advocate for an investment into a diversity and inclusion space for all of our equity and diversity units to gather, have student lounges, and really be able to collaborate, hold major events that can contribute to all of our cultural understanding and celebration. I'm committed personally, if elected, to creating a social action position or board and committing funding to social actions that we can make sure every student can get civically engaged on this campus, whether that's voting or something outside of voting, so that we can make civic engagement accessible for every student. And we also want to look at what some of our other institutions around the state are doing so we can continue to implement things that will improve the student experience for every single Vandal.
Oh, I thought you want to.
I can go. Yeah, so following what Katie said, thank you so much for tuning in and listening. I'm so incredibly excited to be here and for us to get the opportunity to run for vice president along for president. Again, we're hoping to empower the students individually, enhance the campus here, and advance the University of Idaho. So with that, we're hoping to move forward together to make the Vandal community the best that it can be, and to become a growth and to move forward with the amazing things that are possible. And we hope to be able to lead that forward.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone that came tonight, and want to thank the studio for having us here tonight. I also want to commend Katie and Olivia for doing such a great job tonight. And I'll just talk on some of my platform points. So I'm running on student services, Vandal Pride, and representation. The big thing in student services I really want to fix is growing Vandal Uber here on campus. I really want to do this by, I've been talking to Director of Parking Transportation and giving students discounted parking permits who sign up to be drivers for Vandal Uber. I think this will really grow the program. I think this will be widely used all across campus. Another big thing that's coming next year is Dash EV. It's a little two-seater electrical car that'll be stationed all across campus. I want to make sure this stays on campus and also promote safe driving with it as well. There's a lot of other things in student services, getting students into the career services, fighting for academic timely grading and ending due dates over weekends. Moving on to my next point, Vandal Pride. I really want to make campus lively again. And there are several things I want to do through this. One thing I really want to do is start a basketball serpentine. I want to start a basketball serpentine at the first basketball game of the year. This is something the university actually used to do way back then, but it kind of lost tradition, I guess, over the years. And I want to bring this tradition back because I think it'll get a lot more students to go to the basketball games, and I think it will really reinvigorate Vandal Pride. Another thing I want to do in Vandal Pride is have Vandal Fridays, where all students, professors show up in all their Vandal gear to classes, get excited for the weekend, and be proud to be Vandals. Another thing I really want to do is start all holiday events. Whenever it comes around Halloween, Christmas, whatever holiday, have an event centered around that, which I think would be a lot of fun. I think students would get excited about. And lastly, I want to have big events at the beginning and end of the year. One of the things I really want to do is have a big school-wide fair on the SRC lawn, have some funnel cakes, some fair games, some rides possibly if we can manage that. Just a lot of fun things to get students outside, to meet each other, to be more interactive, and to really move past these last years of COVID, because I think it's time to be proud to be a Vandal again and to get outside and start meeting some new people. And on the last point, representation. It's my aim to represent the Vandal family as a whole. Like I said earlier, I'm not running as a liberal, I'm not running as a conservative, I'm running as a Vandal. And I really want to fight for the University of Idaho, and I want to fight for higher education in the state of Idaho. And I want to do this by uniting all the colleges across the state of Idaho and the Idaho Student Association and reaching out to other groups in the state of Idaho to really fight for U of I. Thank you, and go Vandals.
We'd like to thank the candidates for attending tonight. Idaho Public Television and our crew in the control room and behind the cameras. Voting begins April 11th at 8 a.m. and will close on April 13th at 5 p.m. The link will be sent to your student emails. If you vote in the election, you'll automatically be entered into a drawing for 3 $25 Vandal Store gift cards. Election results will be announced on the 13th following Senate in the ASUI Lounge. For Sierra Pesnell and Royce McCandless, I'm John Webb. Have a great night.